There is going to be a 10% reduction in capacity at 40 of our locations.
The Federal Aviation Administration's unprecedented order to scale back flights nationwide because of the record-long government shutdown took effect Friday morning. The 40 airport locations include those in New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, and Chicago, but the impact is likely to be felt far beyond the targeted places. More than 810 flights have been called off nationwide, according to FlightAware. Delta Airlines said it would scratch roughly 170 flights on Friday, and American Airlines planned to cut 220 a day through Monday. The FAA said the reductions would start at 4% and ramp up to 10% by November. They are to be in effect between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. and impact all commercial airlines. The agency announced on Wednesday that it would reduce air traffic by 10% across high-volume markets to maintain travel safety as air traffic controllers exhibit signs of strain during the shutdown. It is imposing the flight reductions to relieve pressure on air traffic controllers who are working without pay during the government shutdown. The move also comes as the Trump administration is ramping up pressure on Democrats in Congress to end the shutdown. Controllers already have missed one full paycheck and are scheduled to receive nothing again next week as the shutdown drags on. The cuts also could disrupt package deliveries because 2 airports with major distribution centers are on the list. FedEx operates at the airport in Memphis, Tennessee, and UPS in Louisville, Kentucky, the site of this week's deadly cargo plane crash. United, Delta Airlines, and American Airlines said they would offer refunds to passengers who opt not to fly, even if they purchase tickets that aren't normally refundable. On November 5th, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warned that he would order 10% of flights at 40 major U.S. airports to be cut starting Friday.
And the second issue, which is air traffic controllers, which, by the way, this was not an air traffic control issue. It appears that it was a mechanical issue. Everyone's been clear on that. That is not speculation. 2 very separate issues at play. In regard to air traffic control, we've had a conversation over the course of the last month about some of the challenges that we're having in the airspace. Many of you know that we are 2,000 controllers short, air traffic controllers short, and we have surged our academy to bring more controllers into our system. We are 20% up in controllers through the academy thus far this year. I've also offered air traffic controllers who are of the age of retirement a 20% upfront cash bonus to actually stay on. Some of the best controllers we have don't retire, keep working for us. All of that has been reducing the pressure on the staffing side of air traffic control. It's working, but it takes years to bring more well-trained certified controllers into the airspace. The shutdown is having an impact on our ability to maintain those numbers and dent that 2,000 shortage that we have. You also know we're modernizing the airspace. We have an old set of equipment that we use to control America's airspace. We have, though, the safest airspace in the world. And that's not because of the equipment, that's because of the well-trained air traffic controllers that we have operating the national airspace. We received $12.5 billion from the Congress in one big beautiful bill, and we need a total of $31.5 billion to accomplish the mission of completely rebuilding America's airspace. The work has begun. We're transitioning our telecommunications. We're about to announce a project manager to do all of the work for this brand new system. But I want to talk about what's happening over the course of the last month with regard to the shutdown. Our air traffic controllers, and a lot of those who work at DOT, but throughout government, they haven't received paychecks. And many of these employees, they're the head of household. They have their spouse at home. They have a child or 2 or 3. And when they lose income, they are confronted with real-world difficulties in how they pay their bills. And so for air traffic controllers, they received a partial payment in early October. The second payment, they got a big fat 0, no paycheck at all. Tomorrow, they get a pay stub email on what their next paycheck is going to be. And when that pay stub comes out, that is also going to be 0. So they will have gone a month without any pay. And what we're finding is that our air traffic controllers, because of the financial pressures at home, are taking side jobs. They need to put food on the table, gas in the car, pay their bills. By the way, I do not want them to take side jobs. I want them to show up for work. We have asked them to show up for work, but I'm not naive to understand that they're trying to figure out how they meet their daily obligations. And so because of that, we have seen staffing pressures throughout our airspace. Those who travel will see that we've had more delays. We've had more cancellations. We do not want to see disruptions at the FAA or here at DOT. We don't want that. But our number one priority is to make sure when you travel safely. And that's why, as the administrator and I have been talking throughout the day, his team has been working for the last 24, 36, 48 hours crunching data. We're noticing that there's additional pressure that's building in the system. And again, our priority is to make sure that you're safe. And so we're going to talk about additional measures that we are going to take that's going to reduce the risk profile in the national airspace. And I'm going to turn it over to the administrator to do that. As he walks through what that plan is going to look like, I anticipate there'll be additional disruptions. There'll be frustration. We are working with the airlines. They're going to work with passengers. But in the end, our sole role is to make sure that we keep this airspace as safe as possible. The administrator is going to talk about all of the tools we're going to deploy. One of them, though, is going to be that there is going to be a 10% reduction in capacity at 40 of our locations. The administrator is going to tell you that this is data-based. This is not based on what airline travels, has more flights out of what location. This is about where is the pressure and how do we alleviate the pressure. And so I want to thank him for, again, him and his team's great work.
I'm wondering, in the same vein as David's question, is there a plan to make sure that one airline isn't disproportionately affected, or one route or city or multiple cities aren't disproportionately affected by this? And to your knowledge, when was the last time this type of thing happened, and how did it go?
Well, I'm not aware in my 35-year history in the aviation market where we've had a situation where we're taking these kind of measures. Then again, we're in new territory in terms of government shutdowns. Also, I think we've learned things through the mishap, the tragic accident with DCA and PSA 5342. So our surveillance on the NAS is much different today than it was even a year ago. The data that we're looking at is much different and more granular today than it was a year ago, and we simply aren't going to ignore that. So again, I think it is unusual, just as the shutdown is unusual. Just on the fact that our controllers haven't been paid for a month is unusual. These are unusual times, and we look forward to a time when we can get back to business as usual.
And how do you apply it proportionately to each airline, or is that not part of the plan?
No, it will be proportionate. We'll be working through that with the airlines this evening as we start to roll this out. Recognizing there will be no perfect solution. There are some airlines that operate less than daily service, so how do you reduce 10% of one? We will work through those issues. We certainly don't want to disrupt service availability in individual city pairs, so we will take all of those factors into consideration.
Just one other point on the controllers. I think compared to other shutdowns, our controllers, again, though we are not full staffed, I've laid that out. I think the performance of our controllers showing up for work compared to other shutdowns, I'm proud of them. Many of them have showed up. But to the administrator's point, many of the same ones who show up continue to show up. Some of those who don't show up continue to not show up, which means we have those who come to work. They're working longer hours, they're working more days, and that's some of the pressure that we're seeing on them, and we want to alleviate that pressure before it would become an issue.